Hello there, good afternoon. Well, afternoon for me. I'm not sure when you're watching this. Everybody, really good to see you here. And thanks again for joining me back on our YouTube channel. As I've said before, I'd really love it if you felt like you could subscribe to our YouTube channel, and that way you'll get alerted to every time we upload something new for you to see. We're going to be sharing lots of really juicy content here on our YouTube channel because I really want to give back to our virtual assistant industry and try to help people, create an amazing business for themselves. I'm really very passionate about that. So if you haven't already picked it up, I'm Paula Edwards and I am the founder of Advanced Virtual Assistants. I set myself up as a VA in 2016, and now today I have an agency with over 22 VAs in there working with our clients, in addition to our academy where we have our virtual assistant course and our online business manager course and our accelerate course, which is for already established VAs. I am a certified director of operations, and I just love having the opportunity to be involved in all of these elements of our industry. I love it. Anyway, today what I wanted to talk to you about was choosing a virtual assistant trainer. I saw a Facebook post yesterday and I thought, that's an interesting one. I want to address it here. And it was somebody saying, how do you choose a good VA trainer? They wanted some support with building and developing their business, but how do you choose? And I get it. It's a really tricky decision to make, isn't it? Especially if you're going to be investing, what could be quite a lot of money into one particular coach to help you get from A to B. That's essentially what you're looking for. So I shared on that post that the best way to do it is the Society of Virtual Assistants. They have a trainer's handbook, and they also have an approved trainers list, which is not currently live as we speak here in October, because they're refreshing their website. But they do have an approved trainers list, of which one I'm really grateful to say I have made the cut. But I'm not here to promote myself particularly. What I want to do is help you to decipher who's a good VA trainer for you. And I think the big thing is that, not everybody is for everybody. You know how not everybody is your cup of tea. Equally, you're not everybody's cup of tea. And that's true for all of us, isn't it? I know that I might not be everybody's cup of tea. And that I'm really okay with that. If I'm not your person, I'm really okay with that. But what I do want you to do is to choose wisely. Whoever it is you decide to work with, should you decide to go down that route. So some of the hints and tips that they've shared at the Society of Virtual Assistants, I thought I would share with you here and put my take on it. But the first thing I think is really important is, do you resonate with this trainer? So if I was you, I would, there's lots of us out there now, lots of people doing VA training in various different forms and formats, whether it's one-to-one, whether it's courses. We have a virtual assistant course and an OBM course, but we teach as live. And I think we're one of the few that do, because that's how I like to learn. And so in order to work in integrity for me, which is really important, I feel like I have to teach it how I like to learn. But we do give you all the other resources because maybe you prefer to learn online or whatever. So it's about finding somebody who you really resonate with. And I would just sort of do a bit of quick research. Don't go too deep into this, and have a look around at all the VA trainers that you can find. Have a quick look at what they're doing, what they're talking about, and do you feel like they're talking to you? Do they feel like they're your person? I remember once I bought some services from somebody because they had a dachshund on the website, because I thought, you're my kind of person, because I've got dachshunds. So, it doesn't matter what it is. That's kind of a little bit flippant, but it's like, are they speaking to me? Do I resonate with them? Do they feel like somebody I could know, like, and trust? And it's that sort of gut feeling. And what we're drawing from that is that we've got aligned values usually. But I don't want to get too much into that. So in the first instance, do you feel like they resonate with you when you're listening to that particular VA trainer? And so start to shorten your list by people who do and don't resonate with you. And then from there, start thinking about their experience. So the Society of Virtual Assistants expects VA trainers, to have at least 5 years working in the industry themselves. Now, I've worked since 2016 in the VA industry. I set myself up then. But they also said, or at least have 20 different clients. And so, I mean, that gives you a lot of experience working with 20 different clients. But the trouble is, you're never going to be able to, prove that, are you? They're not going to share their client list with you. So I think that's a bit more of a tricky one. But the fact that they've been in the industry for a long time is usually a good indication that they've got a good amount of experience. So I would also look at that. The other thing I think is also important isn't necessarily something the Society of Virtual Assistants say, is that the experience prior to being a VA, because I had over 20 years running and managing other people's businesses before I set up as a VA. So I had many years experience to bring to the table before I even set up as a virtual assistant. So that's the other thing. That is all relevant because it's lots of things they can share with you. So make sure that you do a bit of a due diligence and find out how much experience they've got, to make sure that they've got lots of knowledge to impart to you. I mean, essentially that's what we want, isn't it? The other thing that the Society of Virtual Assistants, I'm going to start saying SOVA, I think, because it's like got to put your teeth in. So the other thing that SOVA say is that there's to be able to demonstrate lots of marketing ability. And they want you to have VA trainers have lots of experience in marketing to be able to share that with you. Because I think typically this is really important, because typically as an operator, we don't tend to put ourselves at the front of a business. We like to be behind the scenes, what I call back office, making sure all the cogs are turning in a business. That's what we love to do. We don't like putting ourselves out in the front and center. So marketing is something that we tend to not have. We have less skills in, I would say. And I speak to people day in, day out who's uncomfortable with marketing new VAs and things. So I totally get it. And it's been a steep learning curve for me, I have to say. But what the SOVA want you to have as a trainer is to at least be able to train 10 different ways for somebody to market their business. So a good way to check that out is like, how is that trainer marketing themselves? Are they going to be able to share with me how they're doing it themselves, so that you can apply those principles to your business? Of course, we want them to be legal and compliant. So check with things like confidentiality, data protection, privacy policies. What are they doing? Cookie policies. What are they doing with the data? Are they what's the word? Are they compliant with all of the legalities that we need to be compliant with, so that they're setting a good example? So I would definitely look into those things. I would also check for accuracy, make sure that all in the marketing materials, what they're saying makes sense. There's no spelling mistakes or contradictory things, all that type of thing. Make sure that it all feels right to you. This is all about doing your due diligence and getting a really good feel for that particular trainer, and that they're going to be able to train you to create the business that you desire. I think it's helpful for again, really good for compliance really is to have a complaints procedure, so that they're taking their business seriously. I know I really value feedback, positive and negative. I want to grow. I see that as an opportunity to grow and be better. So, if somebody hasn't got a complaints procedure, I personally think that's not ideal. Going back to the legalities, of course, we want to make sure that they are completely compliant with things like the ICO and things, so you can check to see that they're registered with ICO. I mean, a bit like when you're looking at a new client, maybe you want to have a look on Companies House, see if they turn up there. They might not necessarily, I mean, I'm a limited company, so I am on Companies House, but these are all places that you can check to see, to get a good picture of whether the trainer is really compliant. Another really important thing is, how much do they invest in themselves to be able to further themselves, to be able to bring more to the table for you? I'm a lifelong learner. I love to learn. I've done the Certified Director of Operations. I've done launch courses. I've done all sorts of things to learn and add strings to my bow, and predominantly to help me grow my business. But as a secondary effect, that also means I'm in a position to help you with these things as well. So how much are they investing in themselves to help them grow and stay with the times? Like things like AI coming in. How familiar are they with AI? Are they going to be able to teach you what's current at the moment? I think another thing I think also is important is, are they working themselves, or have they worked themselves with clients? How long have they worked with clients themselves? Because I think that I still work live with clients, and partly because I love the variety of my job. I love that type of work. I love being able to dive into that type of thing. But also, it makes me stay very relevant to what I'm teaching you, and I can teach you all the pitfalls, all of the pros and cons, and all little anecdotes about my journey along the way to help you really have a really rounded knowledge of the industry and what to expect and how things work. So I think it's really important to just check that they've had really good experience of working with clients themselves in the past. Another thing might be you want to check is that they're insured. I think that again, it's a really important part of being compliant. There is no legal obligation to have insurance, but I think it's just best practice, and it's somebody who's taken their business very seriously. And so that's another thing that you might want to look into. So choosing your VA trainer is just to shortlist it, really is, are they your person? Are they your cup of tea? Are they somebody you want to learn from? Are they inspiring? Have they got a business that you would love to have, or you desire to have, or is a proven track record that they are able to do what they say they can do to teach you to get to where you want to go? That's the really important thing. Are they compliant in all the things that we expect to see compliance in? Because that means they're taking their business very seriously. What is their marketing like? Are they able to teach you, the marketing side of the business if sufficiently? Because it's often a part that we know less about. What are they investing in themselves? What can they bring to the table to give you a more whole and rounded education at the end of the day? So I think that's all I can think of off the top of my head of things that might help you to decide who's a good VA trainer. And just remember, I think finding somebody that aligns with your values, has all of these things, and is inspired you to create this business, then I think you're really a long way there. So good luck with finding your VA trainer. And like I said, if I'm your person, brilliant. If you want to have a chat more about setting up your VA business, or anything about your VA business or OBM business for that matter, then always I'm happy to have a chat. Feel free to DM me. Probably on Facebook is the best place, or LinkedIn. Come and DM me and let me know if you'd like to have a chat, or there's anything I can help you with. Okay, good luck. Have a good rest of your day. Bye.